So through the years, we've had a lot of visitors at the karate school, and we've had a lot of martial artists come and visit us. Grandmaster Hafner's operation is well known throughout the world, literally, and I've had gone over to say hi to some folks in the spectator area that I didn't know. Found out they had a karate school in Australia and wanted to just come and see the way we did things. So that's always pretty cool. And one of the things I've started to notice about martial artists when they come and they visit us is that they stand and that they move in a certain way with a certain level of awareness of their bodies, almost like they have recognized that there is in fact a right way to stand, a right way to sit down, a right way to pick something up, right? They're just always aware of their movement. And I want to encourage you guys to just cultivate that and always be moving like martial artists. I want to show you a couple of basic everyday movements that I see done incorrectly all the time. And I think that if you started to become aware of this kind of thing, that you would just get that look, right? And just, wow, there's something about that person. It's the martial arts look, okay? So a couple of things. So first of all, I'm in a chair right now. So I want to go over proper getting out of a chair mechanics, which can then be applied to all kinds of other things that you do. But what you don't want to do, let me back up a little bit here. What you don't want to do is put, gonna have to angle us a little differently here. And you're going all the way down to the ground. Okay, so what you don't want to do is put your feet too far under and have your knees forward and then to push through here, and then that strain goes into your knee, and you see how my heels aren't on the ground, right? So you might see somebody come in here like this and then lean forward. You can see my upper body, but I'm really leaning forward and then kind of pushing there, and that strain goes through my knee. Better to come out with my feet, get my heels onto the ground, and that activates my whole leg, including this posterior chain of the body, so that when I push in through the heels, I can get up out of that chair in a healthier way. So that gives you an opportunity. Like, if you think about it, how many times every day do you get out of a chair? I mean, I don't know, a dozen or more if you're a chair sitting kind of person. But I'm here, and instead of this lean and weight, my toes under me, my heels off the ground, I'm planting, tight belly, push through the heels. Push through the heels is a nice cue for all kinds of things. My wife Sarah, who many of you know, told me the other day her knees were hurting. And we got looking at the kinds of things she was doing for exercise. And she was doing a lot of stairs at work. She works on the 12th floor of the Children's Hospital. And sometimes they'll take a break. And if they get a chance to, on their break, do the stairs, right? So we're going to do 12 sets of stairs going down and back up again. That's a nice little mini workout. And then she'd also go out in the park sometimes and do stairs. And I got thinking about that, thinking, with that movement, you're almost always putting the, if you guys can see, my foot down there, where is it? Work on my camera skills a little bit. So, but you can imagine that you go up on a stair and you don't always plant your heel on that step. It's a lot of times it's just the ball of your foot going on the step, and then that is going to put a lot of force repetitively into your knee. And so her knees got sore. We quit doing that. We started to talk. I started to talk with her about planting that heel and driving through the heel in order to get up, and in order to move, like if you were on a hill or whatever. And she started to become more aware of that, and the knee pain went away. So when you're getting up, or when you're just transferring energy through the bottom of your foot, anytime you can push through your heel, you're probably doing a better job with your knees. All right, here's the other one. The other one is the hip hinging pattern that is used for primarily for like picking stuff up, right? So I got a box right here. All right, I'm gonna move my box back. I'll say I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna pick up this box. Well, there is in fact a right way to do that, right? And I think you would never see a martial artist or a good athlete go to pick up this box with what they would call spinal spinal flexion, right? Where your spine, in order to get down there, curves, right? So, okay, well, if I can't curve my spine, how am I going to get down there? Well, I could squat down, or like I could go all the way down here, which is not really necessary, right? And sometimes there's a misunderstanding about that, and you hear people say, well, don't bend your back to pick something up, bend your legs. Sort of true. Sort of true. But, you know, you have a waist for a reason. You have, you know, your hips work this way for a reason. This is a powerful movement to hinge your hips back, to lock your spine straight, and to lift this way is actually the strongest movement pattern that you have, as long as you're doing it the right way. So check out how this works. I send my hips back, and I get a slight bend in the knees, a slight bend, not a squat, right? My shoulders are coming forward, my hips are going back, a slight bend. Notice that my knees are they're not pushing forward, my knees are staying back behind my toes, and they're soft. I feel this tension gathering in the back part of my leg, up into your glutes here. I grab this thing, I squeeze my belly tight, and I straighten up. Okay, here, and I straighten up. And that is a perfectly fine way to pick things up. You know, I'm not talking about if you got some giant back problem or whatever, then, you know, just listen to your doctor. But just in general, for healthy people that have good habits, hinging at the hip with soft knees is a good way to pick things up. Going from a curved spine and loading that up is a pretty bad idea, and that's how people will, you know, throw their back out, just by kind of, you know, you go down here and you see how my back is curved, I start to lift that, and when your spine is not locked in with this good bracing of tightness here in this straight line where those vertebrae can kind of line up on top of each other, when you get that sort of shearing and the bad alignment and then the looseness in here, then you're just asking for some damage in your back. So those two things, getting out of a chair properly, driving your heels into the ground, and the hinging properly when you're lifting something up off the ground, I think that those would contribute to the level of awareness of the way you're moving throughout the day, and eventually you would end up with this good kind of just martial arts quality of movement in your walk and in your sitting, your standing, just all the regular things that you do throughout the day. And, you know, on one level, this is like a massive, massive numbers game, right? Like, you could probably do that spinal flexion, lift something up, you know, a couple thousand times maybe before you finally hurt yourself, but that will wear you down. It will age you, right, much faster than a proper movement would, right? Like, if I hinge my hips correctly, if I brace correctly in order to lift that, maybe I could do a couple million of those in the same way that I could pick that up with a flexed spine might hurt me after 1,000. I might be able to do 1,000,000 of the other one. And so I'm not saying that necessarily, you know, you get out of a chair the wrong way, or you pick up a bag of groceries the wrong way, that you're just going to absolutely blow out your knees or your back right then. But I think it's just this numbers game where in the long run, you're going to be the loser if you don't invest something into getting those movement patterns right. So work on those two things: lifting, getting out of a chair. Good place to start.